All right, so now we're going to look at another lick and we're going to put it through our lick builder template. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a couple of different kinds of grooves for you so you can see how this would work, okay? So we're going to go through a few different ideas with this. So now our lick is, again, very straightforward. We're going to be up here, we're going to play this. So what I'm doing there is simply doing a bend on the 14th fret of the 3rd string, and then I'm playing 12 and 15. So I would want to know what key I'm in. Well, I'm in E, minor pentatonic, whatever it might be. You know, in terms of my wall, you know, what speed can I go at? Well, again, our backing tracks are going to be at 120. So let's just plug this in to a shuffle here, okay? So here's what the shuffle sounds like. So the first thing I have to do is decide, how does that feel? At 120, is this giving me any issues in terms of walls? Again, most of the time, the wall that we're going to run into the most is going to be that technical wall. Can I execute this at that speed? Is there something that I need to do to make this work better? Well, we could go into our first idea, which is that execution variation, right? So we could decide maybe there's a better way of being able to execute this. Okay? Well, there isn't a lot of choices here, okay, other than maybe doing that hammer-on from 12 to 15. Maybe we could do that, okay? That would be something that we could maybe do, okay? The next thing we could do is decide on what we have is our amount or repetition variation. Well, that's fine, okay? But that doesn't really do me a lot of good in the way that this works with this particular drum track. I like this. So I don't really see a repetition variation that I like in this. So I'm going to skip that one for this one. Okay? But the next one might be very helpful to me, which is the pause variation. Okay? That's number 3. So our pause variation might actually make this easier to execute. You see? Not just the slur or the approach that we're doing, but the pause variation, because now I could be doing this. And what you're going to notice is I've got 2 different pause points. I've got one right after the first bend, and the second one is right after the first 2 notes. So it's after that note right there on the second time. Let me show you very slowly. You see, so I'm getting this stutter. Bum ba da bum ba da bum ba da bum bum. Let's see how that sounds with this drum groove, okay? See there now, I get a little bit different idea when I repeat this, because what I'm now doing is moving from the da 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 da. I can move back and forth between those. Okay, so that's kind of a cool idea. Now let's move on to number 4, which is the addition-subtraction variation. Well, this time my subtraction is going to be a little bit different. What I'm going to do is subtract the bend. Okay, maybe the bend is giving you a hard time. You want to do this lick, you get the idea of the rhythm, but the bend is the part that you want to shift out. Now, there's a couple things we could do. Number 1, we could simply subtract the bend entirely, and it'll sound just fine, and I can still do whatever I want there. Okay, but that leads to the next thing. Okay, addition, subtraction. Well, what I could do is I could add a note in. So instead of just subtracting that bend out of there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the blue note or the blues note, which is this note right here. So now instead of playing 14, 12, 15, I'm playing 15, 12, 15. And that sounds pretty cool, okay? And again, you have to decide what fingers work best for you, whether or not you want to double up with your third finger over here or use 2 different fingers over here, whatever it might be. And you might find that that works better for you, okay, for whatever reason. So I'm simply adding in the blues note instead of bending to that. I'm playing, and it has a different kind of sound, doesn't it? So that's kind of cool. Pump it into the next thing, which is the expansion-contraction variation, number 5. So when we get there, I start thinking about, again, like I did in the last idea, how can I make this more interesting by moving it out, by expanding its size? Okay, well, one thing that I could do is I could expand this way. Now that's sounding pretty cool. When I started, it was pretty traditional blues sounding. Now all of a sudden it's got this kind of unusual sound to it, playing 15, 12, and 17. Again, however I want to execute it rhythmically. That's why we talk about that first. I have to establish those walls to decide what I can and cannot do at this point. Maybe you're using hammer-ons, whatever, okay? You might change the direction of it, right? You might not like, which is a further one down the line, but you might not like doing the hammer-on, right? So you decide you want to go... So you're doing it the opposite direction now. So you're playing this blues note, and then you're moving to 17-12 as a pull-off. And the execution works better for you for something like that. Again, that's the point of the lick builder, this template that we're building. So we can do all these different things, okay? Let's look at another kind of expansion that I think is kind of cool. So this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the bend I had. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an expansion to the first string. So now what I'm doing is I'm simply moving to another string. I could look at that as an expansion. I could look at that not so much as an addition because it's still part of the scale, but maybe the direction, you know, it doesn't matter what category you fit it in. It's just, again, getting your creative juices to flow here and think a little bit differently about the way you want to approach this. Okay? So that's something I could do. Now, in order to do this, what I'm playing is 14, 12, and then 17 on the first string. Well, that's kind of a stretch. So I'm not doing the bend anymore. I'm leaving the bend off to make this execute properly. Because it's a little bit harder to do. Or I might go to 15. Right? I might do something like that. Whatever it is. So the point is all of that stuff is available if you can see it. So that's something to think about a little bit. Hey, it's Steve from Guitar Zoom, and I'd like to invite you to get on a wait list to claim one of 500 Guitar Zoom Golden tickets on January 13th at 5 a.m. Pacific. Now, if you're one of the lucky guitar players who snags a Guitar Zoom Golden ticket, you're going to get 1-year access to every single guitar course, masterclass, VIP lesson, tab book, and jam track that I've ever created for a huge discount to celebrate the new year. Now, this will be your last chance to get a golden ticket until Black Friday 2023, and that's 11 months from now. And the last time we did this, they sold out. So click the button near this video to get on the wait list and get a 1-hour head start to claim your Guitar Zoom Golden ticket on January 13th at 5 a.m. Pacific.